It's just,
Okay.
do you mind if I pass this out beforehand?
Sure.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the Council. My name is Katherine Pitcher, and I serve in the legislative and legal departments of Texas Right to Life. We are the oldest and largest statewide pro-life organization in Texas. So I'm here today to talk through a number of legal concerns regarding this ordinance and to explain why Texas Right to Life believes that y'all will actually be on firm legal ground in declaring Rusk a sanctuary city for the unborn. You may have a variety of concerns about passing the ordinance before you. In the time I have, I will cover the most common questions and concerns, and you can refer to, there's a legal memo in the very back of your packets that you can look at for some more in-depth answers. Contrary to what you may have heard, this pro-life ordinance does not defy federal or state law, but rather goes to the furthest extent possible allowed under Roe v. Wade and the subsequent abortion jurisprudence. This ordinance acknowledges that we live in the shadow of this unjust precedent and takes care to act within its confines, while still pressing forward to see a day when that precedent will be abandoned. Additionally, the Texas State Legislature this past session passed Senate Bill 22, which included an amendment explicitly clarifying that the bill does not prohibit cities from banning abortions within their jurisdictions. This amendment was intended as an open invitation from the state legislature to cities across the state to act within their own jurisdictions. There has been concern that this ordinance is preempted by state law. This is simply not the case. The ordinance clearly does not contradict the Constitution or state law. This is, rather, it has been carefully drafted to protect your preborn citizens from abortion and to protect your city from a lawsuit. This is the opinion of our legal team. This is the opinion of several other attorneys with whom we have consulted. Because your city doesn't currently have any abortion providers, and because the ordinance before you is carefully worded, this makes it nearly impossible that any person or group would have legal standing to suit your city. And even if the abortion industry were somehow granted standing, they would then face the burden of proving how the ordinance places an undue burden on women in your city, women who already would have to travel outside of city limits to obtain an abortion because there is no abortion provider currently here. Additionally, the ordinance is indeed enforceable. Although the criminal provisions in the ordinance do have delayed enforcement until Roe v. Wade is overturned, their effect will be realized immediately in Rusk by deterring the abortion industry from moving into your city because of the risk of retroactive prosecution and because the civil penalties are immediately enforceable. As soon as the ordinance is passed, any relative of the aborted preborn baby may bring a lawsuit against the abortion clinic for damages. And importantly, the ordinance also does not penalize women who seek or undergo abortions. This ordinance is an innovative way that pro-life cities can work towards dismantling the legal foundation of Roe v. Wade. Rusk is in a perfect position to pass the ordinance because there are no abortion providers here yet, and because your citizens are pro-life. You are outlining pro-life territory within Texas, and your efforts tonight will serve to impact and advance the pro-life cause across the state. This is your opportunity.
I think we're out of time, but if you want 30 more seconds.
I would like to finish my thought if I can. You have the opportunity to make a real difference for life and to protect the lives of innocent preborn children who are unable to speak for themselves in your community. This is your opportunity and this is your moment. Thank you.
Ask a question. Sure. On your frequently asked questions on the second page, how do we enforce this ordinance?
Yes.
When can our city start enforcing it? It says the ordinance contains a provision that prevents enforcement of the criminal abortion prohibitions until federal law is changed.
Yes.
That could be decades. That could be this year. So you want us to pass a law, an ordinance is a law at the local level, that we can't enforce?
So
I'm just confused.
I
I'm trying to understand.
Yes. Let me go through that a little slower. 3 minutes is not a lot of time, like I said.
Yeah.
So the criminal provisions have delayed enforcement, you're right, until Roe v. Wade is overturned. Because like I said, this ordinance does not contradict federal or state law. However, there is the, so if once you pass this ordinance, the law still goes into effect even though it's not being enforced. And so what that does is effectively provide a deterrent for any clinic moving into your city, because why would they come to Rusk when there's other cities that may not have passed this ordinance? And they know that if they move into Rusk and they start committing abortions, at whichever point the Roe v. Wade is overturned and this ordinance becomes enforceable, the city could then retroactively prosecute every single abortion that happened from the time the ordinance was passed. Does that make sense?
Retroactive.
Retroactively, yes. And like I said, the civil penalties, which allows any relative of the aborted unborn child to sue the clinic for damages, those go into effect immediately. So the abortion clinic knows that by moving in and starting to commit abortions, they're opening themselves up to liability. They could be sued for lots of money.
Would the abortion clinic also know this answer though? Wanted to come to Rusk?
It's in the language of the ordinance, yes. That's what you're
I
passing.
mean, they would know that we couldn't enforce it.
They would know you couldn't enforce it now.
I mean, doctors
So
have lawyers.
it's them taking a gamble. Do they want to take that risk? Do they want to incur that liability? Most of the time, medical professionals want to stay away from liability.
Okay, I understand better, thank you.
Thank you.